Good afternoon, Sridevi.
Yes, good afternoon, Marangi.
Shall I start or shall I wait for some more time?
Let us wait for some more time,
Okay,
Maranima.
okay,
Okay, just
okay,
5 more
fine.
minutes. Let the other
Yeah,
students
yeah,
also
fine.
join.
Fine.
Good afternoon, Dr. Umarani, ma'am. Shall we start the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much. Just a minute.
Shall I start presenting?
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, Dhanush, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known.
Dhanush, your voice is echoing.
Uh,
It is my immense pleasure to welcome you all to this online guest lecture on a glimpse of agile and develops in software testing. Let's start this event with the blessings of the Almighty. I call upon Neela Devi from the Department of Data Analytics for the prayer song.
श्रीराप्तिशयना नारायणा श्रीलक्ष्मीरमणा नारायणा श्रीराप्तिशयना नारायणा श्रीलक्ष्मीरमणा नारायणा नारायण हरि नारायण नतजन परिपाल नारायण नारायण हरि नारायण नतजन परिपाल नारायण श्रीराप्तिशयना नारायणा श्रीलक्ष्मीरमणा नारायणा नारायण हरिनारायण.
Thank you for starting things with delight. Now I call upon Nivashni from the Department of Computer Science with Data Analytics to present the welcome address.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to start this auspicious occasion by heartily welcoming you all. Thank you all for joining this session. I'm very happy to tell you that our college has completed 75 years and we are celebrating the Platinum Jubilee. We are so excited to have you all here to take part in the online guest lecture organized by the Department of Computer Science and Data Analytics on a glimpse of Agile and DevOps in software testing. I'd like to extend a special welcome to our guest of honor, Dr. Umarani Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Computing, Coimbatore Institute of Technology, who will be speaking today. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. We are so delighted to have you. It's truly an excellent opportunity for us to learn from you. I'd also like to welcome our HOD, Dr. R. Sridevi ma'am, who has always been guiding and supporting us. I also welcome all the teachers and my dear friends who are assembled here for this beautiful event. Without any delay, let's start this event and make sure we gain more out of this session. Thank you. Thank you, Nivashini. Next, I call upon Dr. R. Ranjini Rani, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science with Data Analytics, to begin this event by welcoming our chief guest.
Good afternoon, everyone. I extend a warm welcome to all for an online guest lecture organized by our department. I take this opportunity to welcome today's chief guest, Dr. N. Umarani Ma'am, an expert in software testing for this webinar today. She is currently working as an assistant professor at Coimbatore Institute of Technology, Coimbatore. Working at CIT, she lectures in software testing and quality assurance, computer networks, and component object model. She is also guiding postgraduate and undergraduate project works. Dr. M. Umarani has completed her PhD in Science and Humanities at Anna University, Chennai during October 2020. She completed her MPhil in Computer Science at Bharathidasan University, Master of Computer Application at PSG College of Arts and Science. She obtained her Bachelor of Computer Technology at Coimbatore Institute of Technology. She has nearly 16 years of teaching experience and she has published various research journals. We are glad to welcome our college alumni as our chief guest for our today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The moment we all waited has finally arrived. Now I call upon Ms. Dr. Umarani, Assistant Professor, Department of Computing, Coimbatore Institute of Technology, to answer today's event.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you
ma'am,
are.
you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Pa. So I'll on my video at the end of the speech, maybe for net issue or something, I'll just talk, okay? So thank you all. Thank you especially to my friend Sri Devi, HOD.
My pleasure, Uma.
And yeah, we were classmates actually. And then thank you Ranjani Rani ma'am, thank you Danush, Nitila, then Nivashni for I think you are the student coordinators, I think. And thank you Neela Devi for your Narayana song. Really Narayana has to help us, right? So from this COVID situation, so thank you so much Neela Devi for your prayer song. And now I start with my presentation. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. The screen is
Yes,
visible.
ma'am. Okay. So actually today's topic is a glimpse of agile and development operations. DevOps is nothing but development operations in software testing. So here I'm going to talk about software testing, then about agile process, then about the tools used in DevOps, and about two testing tools I'm going to talk about, that is JUnit and Selenium. So it's going to be a very simple speech. So first of all, I think even first year students have joined in this meet, right? So I just want to give a small explanation of what is an SDLC. Because being a computer science student, and if you're going and working for an IT industry, always you must know what is an SDLC. In an interview, one student was asked, expand SDLC. The student didn't even know what is the expansion. So before starting, I would like to say, whatever you learn, even if it is very little, please learn the concept. Please be apt, accurate in learning the concept. So SDLC is nothing but software development life cycle. I think the final year students, you would already know about this, but this particular slide, I'm telling it for the first year students. So software development life cycle, it is a process followed for a software project. So say anything, if you start, you need a plan. So in case if you are given a project work, if you are given some work, what you will do? You will gather the requirements, you will plan for it. whatever it is. Even if you want to book a railway ticket, what you will do, you will gather the requirements, when you want, where you want to go, from location to location, etc. and etc. First you will gather the requirements, then you will plan for it, right? Then you will execute it. So if you take a software engineering or whatever it is, you have this SDLC, where this is a process followed to complete a software project without any obstacles. So naturally, what an SDLC contains, it contains a detailed plan, describing how to develop, maintain, replace, enhance, update a specific software. And the life cycle, if you take, it defines a methodology for improving the quality. So anything if you plan prior, your result will be very good. Even if you take an examination, if you plan daily and study, you will be a first rank holder. Maybe 1 out of 1,000, it's different. Like your Sridevi ma'am, she was one of the topper of the class. So it is different. You must be very smart enough. I'm telling for others, your hard work, your planning daily, it will end in continuous success. Similar is your software development life cycle. It improves the quality of software if you follow in the overall process. So this is a typical software development life cycle, which has a planning. Then, as I said, defining, designing. I think you would have seen this figure everywhere. Building is nothing but you write the code and you try to build it. You try to test it. Then once you test and if it is ready, you deploy the product. You deploy the product wherever. Why you go and deploy? Because you want the users. You want someone to use your product. So you deploy the product. So these are the basic phases of your software development life cycle. Next, if you come to SDLC, what are the various models? Starting from waterfall model, you have iterative, you have spiral, verification model, you have the agile model, you have the rapid application development model, and you have various other prototyping models. Maybe now industries could follow their own models also. So we are going to see a bit about agile model here. So these are the various models present. So being a computer science student, please don't forget to know what is an SDLC, and also please remember these models always, because these models were followed from the beginning. So these are the various models. So why we follow these models is to complete the project successfully, and based on the requirements, based on who your customer is, based on what project you're going to do, you have to choose one of these models. Also, you can also mix and match between these models. Even industries, they do that. So next, I'm going to start with software testing. So what is a software testing? So whenever you develop something, you have to test the product. Whatever it is, if you develop some soap, homemade soap, you have to send it for a lab test. If you do an organic product, you have to send it to a lab test, a soil test, whatever, you have to test it. Similar, when it comes to software testing, what? You try to give various inputs in the form of test cases, and you try to bring out whether there are any problems, whether there are any errors, whether there are any bugs in it, whether there are any faults in that. So software testing, it is nothing but it's a process of evaluating and verifying a software product, or you are evaluating an application just to check, not only to check it has no errors, but also it has to provide the app functionality for which you had designed to do. For example, you are designing a calculator, a very basic program. I think you will be doing it in your lab exercise and all. 3 plus 3, of course, it has to give a 6. It must not give a 5 or a 8 or a 0 point something value. It means that you have something error in your program. So you have to, in the form of test cases, you have to test your product. So why you go for testing is to check whether the needed functionalities are performed, or it has been done by the development team. So that's why you go for testing a product. So these are the few types of software testing. I think those who have studied about the testing paper, you would know this. So if you take types of software testing, always there will be a manual testing. Whatever project you do, even there are so many automation testing tools available, you always manually test. For some few inputs at least, you always manually test. And manual testing is nothing but it is done by the developers as well as the testers, as well as even the users can do manual testing. And if you take a manual testing, again it is divided into three types, actually three basic types. So usually you have a white box, you have a black box and a gray box. So gray box is nothing but it is a combination of your white box and black box. So who will perform this white box testing? The person who designed the code. They do the white box testing because you test each and every internal piece of the code. So if you take a white box testing, it's nothing but you have so many types like unit testing, then you have integration. So you have so many types in that. If you take again a black box testing, you have a functional and non-functional testing. So testing the functionalities of your system. So suppose, what is the functionalities called as? The requirements given by the users, they are called as your functionalities. For example, I want you people to design a web page. So in a web page, before that, I want a login authentication. So if you take a login, what all things will be there? There will be a username, there will be a password, right? There will be a username and a password. So this is my requirement. My requirement is username only must be given with these symbols. Password must be at least of 8 characters with asterisk symbol or with special characters combined with alphabets and numbers. At least one numeral must be present, minimum 8 characters must be present. All these things are my requirements for a small login authentication page. So this is a functional requirement. So if you take a functional testing, you also have the other divisions. And if you take a non-functional testing, is nothing but are these requirements are working properly. That is your performance. Or okay, my requirement is satisfied. But how do I know what load it can withstand? What, for example, I'm designing a web page at a time, a railway reservation system or any reservation system if you take, at a time, okay, Diwali season is coming, I want to go from here to somewhere else. At a time, if you take users, once you open, at a time you start reserving. Or maybe you can take this example which you will all like, your favorite hero movies is coming. So what you do in Brookfields or whatever it is, at the time you go to book my show and many people, you try to book the tickets. My system must withstand the load. The booking, everything it will be done. Those are the functionalities. But what load my system can withstand, whether it can accept the stress, whether my product is scalable. So all these types of testings, it is called as a non-functional testing methodologies. This is for your basic understanding the types of software testing. Fine. The next, if you take principles of software testing, so they say always in a college there's a few principles to be followed. If you take anything, principles has to be followed. Why you follow the principles? Because basically you have to come out with a solution. So what people think, if you follow the principles, you basically come with a solution. So see, mostly they say there are 7 principles. If you take the software testing, Gillian Bernstein, he has said about 12 principles. Likewise, these are the basic principles. For example, 1 or 2 principles we can see now. Testing shows presence of defects. If you test, as a tester, you must write the use case such that it shows defects. It has to bring out the defects. Exhaustive testing is not possible, of course. Okay. The previous example what I gave, a login page. I'm telling, okay, so many combinations of inputs. How many, for example, if there are 15 fields in your web page or in whatever you design, in your user interface page, there are some 15 fields to be entered. How many combination of fields will you give again and again? You people will get exhausted. A tester cannot do everything at a time. They can only choose. They can only prioritize the main things which will lead to a severe fault alone will be prioritized and it will be tested. So these are the various principles of software testing. So it is always available, and you can also go through it if you have an Eileen Bernstein book. So just a difference between a manual testing and automated testing. So what is a manual testing? So manual testing, of course, it's a time-consuming process. It can be repetitive, but it is suitable for almost any software product. And also, once you do manual testing, sometimes manual testing can also ask you to go for automation testing. So if you take an automation testing, it's time-saving, helps to avoid repetitions. And if you take manual automated testing, if you want to test a web page, you have to go for a Selenium. If you want to go for testing Java, then you have to go for JUnit. Likewise, you have various different types of automation testing tools. So for your project, you have to select the apt tool and you have to go for testing. So I just wanted to tell a basic of what is the software testing. So next, coming to Agile. So what is the exact meaning of Agile? Agile is nothing but the one which is able to move quickly and easily. Anything which moves quickly and easily, it is called as an Agile. Agile is nothing but it is characterized by division of task into short phases of work and frequent reassessment and adaptation of plans. So if you take, these are the various methodologies of Agile. The Scrum is a methodology which we will be seeing now. A sprint is a part of a Scrum. Okay, I think you final years are studying a paper in Agile. So this Agile methodology is used in IT industries now. Most of the IT industries, they go for Agile methodologies. So here, what is a Kanban? It is a use of an instruction card sent along production line. So it is nothing but it is a workflow management method. It is used for defining, managing, and improving services. It helps to visualize your work. For example, Kanban is nothing but, an example is our blackboard. You write on it. Okay, what are the to-do processes today? Your to-do list, you can tell it as a to-do list. Okay, today I have to listen to this. Next, I have done with this. Then next, what is the progress? So you try to Kanban, it's nothing but it helps you to visualize your work in minimizing efficiency, in maximizing your efficiency and improve continuously. It is a workflow management method. Your Kanban, it's nothing but it is a workflow management method. Next, what is a Scrum called as? Scrum, it is nothing but it is a lightweight framework. It helps people, teams, and organizations to generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. And the Scrum, if you take, it helps people to work together in a team. It helps in coordination. It helps in cooperation. And we'll be seeing there are so many roles in a Scrum, like product owner, then Scrum Master, then who else will be present in the Scrum? The development team members will be present in the Scrum. So if you take, it helps to the team to work together. Then what is a sprint? Here, what is a sprint called as? A sprint is a short time boxed period when a scrum team works to complete a set of amount of work. You can take a sprint like a milestone. Sprint is nothing but, what is the meaning of a sprint is to run a short distance as fast as you can. To run a short distance as fast as you can. That is called as a sprint. Why it is called as a sprint is, it is nothing but it is the art of, here the sprint, it is the art of doing twice the work in half the time. We call them as sprints because it is evolved from the quality of intensity. So sprint is, what is a sprint? A sprint is nothing but it is a short time boxed period. It is a period of time when a scrum team works to complete a set or amount of a work. Next, what is called as a retrospective? Retrospective is nothing but looking your past. It is called as a retrospective. The meaning of retrospective is looking again at the past. Why you go for the past? To see what happened in the product you designed. So an agile retrospective is a meeting that's held at the end of an iteration. The team reflects on what happened in the iteration and identify actions for improvement going forward. So that is your retrospective. So what this retrospective does, it forces the entire team to pause and reflect on what transpired and discussed what didn't work out during the period of time. So if there is any problem, you just go back and check what happened. That is called as your retrospective. The next, what is called as a backlog. In agile development, a product backlog is nothing but a prioritized list of deliverables. It should be implemented as part of a project or product development. It is a decision-making artifact that helps you to estimate, refine, prioritize everything in future, what you want to complete in future. So product backlog is nothing but a prioritized list of deliverables. Then what is called as a backlog? A backlog in your Scrum. It is simply a list of things that needs to be done within the project. A list of things that need to be done within the project. So this is what I was telling again. So agile development is nothing but it is a set of principles for software development. So agile means what? Moving fast and quickly. Agile is a software development methodology to build a software incrementally using short iterations of 1 to 4 weeks instead of single pass development of 6 to 18 months where the risks are unpredicted upfront. Agile adopts a process of frequent feedback where a workable product is delivered. So agile is nothing but characterized by division of tasks into short phases of work and frequent reassessment of plans. So in agile methodology, there will be planning, there will be analysis, there will be designing, there will be building, there will be testing, there will be deployment, and there will be review. If you take a planning, these tools are used. If you take analysis, these are the tools used. Likewise, there are so many tools used in each phases. Why we go for agile? Because it improves customer involvement, it increases the quality, it simplifies the releases, and it brings the risk factor down. So these are the reasons why we go for agile. What are the agile manifesto values? The individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, and these are the values: customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to changeover following a plan. So these are the agile values. So if you see, there are 12 principles of agile. Your customer satisfaction. Why you work? You need to satisfy people, right? Always, why we are born? We are here to satisfy the world. We are here to satisfy ourselves. So customer satisfaction is one of the main thing in a software industry. A key word in a software industry is customer satisfaction. So highest priority is given to satisfy the requirements of customers through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Then embracing changes. Changes are inevitable during software development. Ever-changing requirements should be welcome. What is the inevitable means? You cannot avoid that. Whatever you do, there will be a change. You cannot avoid change. So you have to change yourself. You have to change according to the situation to become happy. So any changes you have to welcome and design your product accordingly. Next, speed delivery. So you try to work for a few weeks. You try to deliver the product more quickly. Collaboration. So always collaboration, cooperation, wherever you go, you have to cooperate with your team for a peaceful environment. Also for a happy success of the project. For a happy ending of anything, you must cooperate. Empowerment. The next is effective communication, a good metrics, steadiness, operational excellence, simplicity, self-organization, continuous improvement. These are the various principles of your agile. See, motivation. So what is a motivation? Face-to-face conversation. You have to measure the progress as per the working software. Maintain constant pace. So these are the various agile principles: monitoring, simplicity, self-organized teams, review the work regularly. Always, there must be a constant review. See, you are given a product. What if there are no reviews? You are given the lab work. What if the staffs are not coming to review you? What will happen? The students who are studying well, they will always study. What about the others? You will become lazy enough if there is no review. Constant review will gain the attention of anyone. So that's why anywhere, if you take, there must be proper review. Only if there is review, you will know what mistake you did. The other person can also help you out. Excuse me. Then, an agile, if you take, there must be self-organized teams. Because self-organized means what? Don't depend on other teams. Your team must have the best architect. Your team must try to get the best requirements or the proper requirements, proper designer, proper designing. Everything must be done within your team. Don't ever depend on other teams. So these are the various 12 principles of your Agile. So about Scrum, we already saw. So, but still, I just want to tell once again, it is a lightweight framework that helps people, team, and organization to generate, to give a good solution for a complex problem. That is your Scrum. So, and what I said about Scrum was like it helps the team to work together. That is your Scrum. Next, if you take extreme programming, so it is a software development methodology that's what is collectively called as agile methodologies. So their extreme programming is built upon values, principles, practices, and its goal is to allow mid-sized team to produce high quality software product. That is your extreme programming. Then if you take adaptive software development, it is a direct outgrowth of an early agile framework. That is your rapid application development. What we saw in the models, SDLC models, I showed you. There was one model called as a rapid application development. Your adaptive software development is nothing but it is a direct outgrowth of an rapid application development method. Then dynamic software development method. It is an associated agile code development approach that provides for maintaining and building and maintaining systems. Then comes your feature-driven development. It is an iterative agile software development model and in specific to be, the FTT organizes workflow based on which features we have to develop next. For example, features is nothing but tasks or stories. So if you go to industries, when you go to companies and all, like they will not tell programs, like you, they will not tell, see, do this program, do that program, maybe in your training session. Afterwards, when you are in project work, they will tell it as a feature or they will tell it as a story. So they will divide. So the requirements, they will keep it as a stories. So they will tell, okay, Dhanush, you do this story. For example, the stories will be given to you. Then Nikila, you do the story. Then who else? The girl, the singer of our workshop today. Okay, you do this tool. Okay, so various tools, various stories will be assigned to each and every one. Stories will be assigned. The stories is nothing but the feature. Okay, you have to complete this feature. And you will be given everything, whatever you need to do, you have to complete this particular story. So that is nothing but your feature. So if you go, the keyword story will be used for programs or for requirements. Then regarding Kanban, we saw it is nothing but there will be a board where the to-do list to do what I did, what I'm doing, what progress, everything will be listed, visualized. The next is behavior-driven development. What is a behavior-driven development? Is nothing but it's a agile software development methodology in which an application is documented and designed around the behavior a user experience when interacting with it. So how your user interface behaves. When I'm using your system, you have designed one system, I'm going to use it. How it behaves with my usage. When I give a wrong input, how it will behave. If I give a right input, how it will behave. So that is a user, how the user experience when interacting with our system. Next, coming in detail to what is called as a Scrum methodology. If you take a Scrum, there are few phases in Scrum actually. first step, it is nothing but you have to give a backlog creation. I already said about what is a backlog. It is nothing but the list of activities to be done. Then there is something called as a sprint planning and creating backlog. There is something, next one is called as working on a sprint, how you will do. Then testing and product demonstration. Then the retrospective and next sprint planning. So about everything I've already said. So you have 5 steps in it. So if you take a scrum, it is executed with small team of people, including a scrum master and a product owner. So what the scrum master will do? It looks like a master chef. What the scrum master will do? The scrum master role, it includes many things, but it is not like limited to, like he coaches the team members, he hosts the daily stand-up meetings, there will be stand-up meetings, then assist the product owner by the product with the product backlog, then he removes the roadblocks, and he also teaches these scrum practices and principles for the newcomers in the team. So he can be given as a project lead or a team lead or so a scrum master is nothing but you can equate the designation to a project lead or a team lead. So I already said about sprint, it represents a time box. So this is the scrum process. So as it says, user stories, then a backlog of what to do. Then finally, you will have the daily stand-up meeting. It's just a flow diagram to represent the scrum process. So if you take a scrum, who are all the roles? So there will be a product owner, there will be a scrum master, there will be a project team. These are the scrum activities or time boxed events. So it means, what is a time boxed event? There will be a maximum duration given for anything. If you take an exam, 2.5 hours, 3 hours. So within the duration, you have to show your progress. You have to show whatever you did in that 6 months, 3 months of period, you have to show that particular, you have to write that particular subject in 3 hours of time. So it is a time boxed event. There will be a duration where you have to complete your work. So the events of a scrum are the sprint planning, daily scrum meeting, sprint review, sprint retrospective. Okay, again, the sprint is a time box of 1 month or less during which the team produces a potentially shippable product increment. So start date and end date of a sprint is fixed because it is a time box, right? So what is a sprint planning? So on what products you're going to work, you have to plan it. You have to prioritize your requirements, prioritize your stories. Then what are the scrum activities? Your daily scrum. They say it is limited to 15 minutes. Sometimes it may also vary. What is a sprint review? At the end of each sprint, each event, when it gets completed, there is a review. And business functionalities which was created during the sprint is demonstrated to the product owner. Any changes to the product backlog during the sprint, the attendees arrive at the next steps and they could optimize the value. So what is a sprint retrospective? So they come back and see if anything, what they planned was done accordingly. So what is the purpose of the sprint retrospective? It is to combine the learnings from the last sprint with regards to people, relationships, process, and tools. And you try to identify the major events that went well with all potential improvements. The sprint retrospective is an opportunity for the Scrum team to introspect and improve within the Scrum process framework. So as we said, retrospective is nothing but going back and checking. You try to review once again, you verify, you validate. It is a type of a verification, a validation again. That is your sprint retrospective. So these are the Scrum artifacts again. Product backlog, you have the sprint backlog and you have the product increment. So backlog is nothing but a list of work. So what is a sprint backlog? It is a set of product backlog items plus a plan for delivering the product increment and realizing the sprint goal. What is the product increment? The increment is sum of all the product backlogs completed during the sprint combination with the increment of all previous sprints. So if you take the Scrum artifacts, artifact is nothing but your documentations. You have your product backlog, you have a sprint backlog, and you have a product improvement. What are the advantages of Agile then? Customer satisfaction, continuous delivery of useful software, and the people and interactions are stressed rather on process and tools. And customer and developers, they constantly interact with each other. There is a lot of coordination when you go for an Agile methodology. Working software is delivered frequently. There is face-to-face conversation, which is the best form of communication. Whatever you hear, more than that, you see, speak, and do, that will be the best form of communication ever. The next advantage is continuous attention to technical excellence and good design, regular adaptation to changing requirements. Even late changes in requirements are welcomed. So these are the advantages of Agile. Of course, anything if you take, there will be disadvantages too. In cases of some software deliverables, the large ones, it is difficult to access the effort required at the beginning. There is lack of stress on necessary designing and documentation. The project can easily get taken off track if the customer representative is not clear what the final outcome is. Only senior programmers are capable of taking the kind of decisions required during the development process. So these are the few disadvantages of Agile. So any methodology if you take, there will be both advantages and disadvantages. But it is up to the product, whatever you design, you select the particular model. So if you select an app model for your project, your product will be a great successful. Next, I am going to now just talk about a little on development operation tools. So what is development operation? So DevOps is nothing but a combination of development and operations. It is a practice that allows a single team to manage the entire application development lifecycle, that is development, testing, deployment, operations. See, in here, there are so many things like you have to, as being a computer science student, you must know what this each symbol or logo stands for. Selenium, Jenkins, like that, you must know what each symbol stands for. This is very important. You might definitely, when you go for an interview, they might ask what this logo stands for, what this one stands for. So definitely there will be a question. So please, if you are not aware, definitely you have to go study about what each logo stands for. This is only for development and operation tools. But there are also other things. For example, if you take a Python, there will be a logo. If you take Well, some other tool, there will be a logo. Likewise, you have so many logos. Please try to understand. Try to know what it stands for. So, the main aim of development operations is to shorten the system's development life cycle while delivering features, fixes, and updates frequently in close alignment with business objectives. And development operation is a software development approach through which superior quality of software can be developed quickly and with more reliability. So this includes these type of phases: continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring. So these are the common methodologies, common phases. So if you take continuous development, your planning and coding comes here. Continuous testing is nothing but building and testing. There will be an integration. Then continuous deployment, where deployment and operation comes. Then finally comes your monitoring. So planning. For example, what are the DevOps tools that are used for planning is your Jira software, Confluence, Slack. These are the few tools that are used for planning. So for coding, if you take, the code can be written in any language, but it is maintained by using version control tools. The popular tools are Git, repository, GitHub. Okay, these are the proper tools. I just wanted to tell something about what is a GitHub. So GitHub is nothing but it is a web-based version control and collaboration platform for a software developer. So what is a repository? See here, there is something called as a repository, right? You can see the words repository. What's a repository called as? A repository is nothing but it is a central location in which data is stored and managed. See, what if I am doing a program, I am saving it in my desktop, I lost my lap or there was a crash, but tomorrow I have to present the code. Tomorrow I have to present the code, or tomorrow I have to integrate my code with my teammates' code, or whatever it is. So what, in that case, what you will do? So you can't always have a local copy, only a local copy. You must store your whatever you did daily somewhere. You must check in and check out. Then there is a feature called as a check in and check out. So you have to check in and check out. So there comes this type of development operation features. These are nothing but centralized location where data is stored and managed. So GitHub facilities, if you take, it facilitates social coding by providing a web interface to the Git code repository and management tools for collaboration. GitHub can be thought of as a serious social networking site for software developers. And if you take GitHub, it's a web-based interface that uses Git, the open source version control software. So multiple people make separate changes to web pages at the same time. Okay. In a web page, I am doing one story, Dhanush is doing one story, Nicola is doing one story. Okay. And each and every students are doing a different stories. So what, at the same time, people can work on it and you can again store it as a single web page. So it allows for GitHub, it allows for real-time collaboration. GitHub encourages teams to work together to build and edit their site content. And if you take next testing, you have the Selenium, you have the TestNG. About Selenium, we'll be seeing it. Selenium and JUnit, again, we'll be seeing it. What is a TestNG? It's a testing framework inspired from JUnit and NUnit. But it introduced some new functionalities that makes it more powerful. So it has various annotations actually. So what are the annotations? It's nothing but some way of explanation or comment added to a text or diagram. What this TestNG will do? It tests your code that is multi-thread safe, flexible test configuration. It supports for data-driven testing. Then it supports for parameters. It is a powerful execution model. It is supported by a variety of tools and plugins like Eclipse, IDEA, Maven. Embeds Bean Shell for further flexibility. The dependent methods for application server testing. Then there are default JDK functions for runtime and logging. TestNG is designed to cover all categories of test, that is unit, functional, end-to-end integration. So this TestNG, it is designed to cover all categories of test. What is this called as a Docker containers? Docker containers, it is an open source software development platform. Its main benefit is to package applications in containers, allowing them, this Docker containers, they package applications in containers. It allows them to be portable to any system running in a Linux or Windows operating system. A Windows machine can run either Linux container by using a virtual machine or anything. So this Docker container, it is an open source software development platform. What is a Jenkins called as? It is an open source automation server. This is an open source automation server which enables developers around the world to reliably build, test, and deploy their software. They reliably build, test, and deploy the software. So here there is something called as an Ant or Maven. What is this Ant or Maven called as? APAC. What is an APAC? APAC is nothing but a web server. It is responsible for accepting directory requests from internet users and sending them their desired information in the form of files and web pages. So Ant or Maven or both are building tools. These both are building tools. This Jenkins, it is an automation server which enables developers around the world to reliably build, test, and deploy their software. So just now we saw about Jenkins. What is that called? What is that as? So it is an open source automation server. So we saw about what is a Git repository. Then we will see now about the configuration management tools. So what is the configuration management? It is a system engineering process for establishing consistency of a product attribute throughout its life. In the technology world, like configuration management, it's nothing but an IT management process that tracks individual configuration items of an IT system. So configuration management is nothing but it is an act of establishing and maintaining consistency. It is a system engineering process for establishing consistency of a product attribute throughout its lifetime. Next. Here there are two words called as what is a Docker and Vagrant. Before that, what is this uh, containerization tools? What is that called as? It helps in maintaining consistency across the environments where the application is developed, tested, and deployed. It is a pipeline. It is a set of steps executed on each CMS, that is content management system. The objective of the pipeline is to perform a set of tasks that will deploy a fully tested and functional service or application to the production. So whatever you do, you try to make a commit to the repository. Everything else is done automatically. So the reason why every commit should pass through the pipeline because it lies in the word continuous. Like of a sprint, it would not be continuous. So that's why you make use of these tools. The next, what is a Docker tool? Docker tool is basically, it is used to create, deploy, and run the applications by using containers. So Docker tool is nothing but it uses container tools. Through Docker DevOps, developers can pack all parts of an application like libraries and other dependencies easily and ship it out as a single package. So next, what is this Vagrant called as? It is a flexible tool that enhances day-to-day development by allowing you to easily test out development operation workflow ideas. It allows you to separate your software code infrastructure without having to know how much DevOps, infrastructure, servers, and configuration management tools. Here, there are other tools like Splunk, ELK Stack, Nagios, New Relic, and Sensu. What is this Nagios called as? It is an open source and one of the most popular tools for continuous monitoring. Nagios helps to monitor the systems, application services, and business process in your DevOps culture. So these are the various DevOps tools used for testing, building, coding, planning, release, deploy, operation, monitor. There are many diagrams. Please, if you don't know the symbols, if you don't know the logos, please go try to know it by today. So these are about DevOps. So why we go for DevOps? What is the reason? Because anything to make it as a centralized system, to make it manual work easy, to shorten the amount of time, to always have a central repository, you have various automation tools. So these are a few glimpses of your DevOps. So if you take a testing, JUnit is a DevOps automated testing tool, and Selenium, it is a testing tool. So Jenkins, I said right, it is a tool that is used when you release it. Why? Because what did I say for Jenkins? It is an open source automation server which enables developers to reliably build, test, and deploy the software. So Nagios, as I said, it is a monitoring tool. Maven, it is a building tool. You can go and check on all of the tools, and you can practically try to use the tool and see for better understanding. Next, again coming to software testing. So we saw about what is the testing? So software testing is nothing but any activity aimed at evaluating an attribute or capability of a program or system, whether it meets the requirements, the determined requirements. It is the process of executing a program or a system with the intent of finding errors. So if you take by the life cycle phase, you can classify into requirements phase testing, design phase, program phase, evaluation phase, installation phase, then acceptance testing, alpha, beta, maintenance testing. So by scope, you can tell it as a unit testing, component, integration testing, and system testing. So software testing, basically it can be divided into correctness testing, performance, reliability, and security testing. Why you go for automation of testing? Software testing can be very costly. So time and labor, it is a very intensive, tedious process. So automation is a good way to cut down time and cost. So that's why you go for automation of test cases. So there are so many automation tools available. So here we are going to see about what is Selenium and what is a JUnit. So if you take what is a Selenium, Selenium IDE is nothing but integrated development environment. It is the simplest tool in the Selenium suite. It is a Firefox add-on. Selenium is a Firefox add-on that creates tests very quickly through its record and playback functionality. It helps the tester to enter commands more quickly. It restricts the user from entering invalid commands also. The types of Selenium commands are actions, accessories, and assertions. So Selenium, if you take, it has its own scripting language called Selenium, which provides options for clicking a link, selecting something, retrieving data from open pages. Then instead of writing test cases, these tests can be written into different programming languages also. It supports many browsers, Chrome, Firefox, IE, Safari. It also supports a wide range of programming languages like PHP, Java, Python and all. And it supports multiple operating systems also, Android, iOS, Windows, Linux, Mac, Solaris. So the Selenium supports more and more. So some of the most commonly used Selenium commands are like fetching a web page, locating forms, clearing user inputs, and performing a click event, navigating backward in a browser history, navigating forward in a browser history. You refresh or reload a web page, you fetching data over any web element. If you take the components, these are the components of a Selenium. There will be IDE, integrated development environment, and you have a WebDriver and you have a grid actually. So how you will build and run a Selenium? You have to create a Java project and you have to add the dependencies to a .xml file. You have to create the package under the source main Java folder, and you have to start writing the piece of code. So actions, accessories and assertions are the various Selenium commands. So this is a small example, but even though an example is given, you have to work on a Selenium tool and it is easy to work. If you work and see, your understanding will be more better. So these are the various limitations. It's only for web applications. There is no reporting feature by default, no reporting feature for file upload. Large tests are not fast. So these are the few things of Selenium. So JUnit, a small intro on JUnit, what it is. So JUnit is nothing but it is a Java unit testing framework. So it is one of the best test methods for regression testing. Any open source framework, it is used to write and run repeatable automated tests. As with anything else, the JUnit testing framework has evolved over time. So how you will run the JUnit? So before that, I like to say, what are the various assertions available? You have something called as an assert equal. So this is a code that is given for an assert equal. You have assert equal array equals. Here you find the function, right? Assert equal. Likewise, you have an assert array equal, assert not null, assert null. You will have assert not same, assert true, assert false, assert fail. Okay. Then there are few annotations. That is at before annotation, at after annotation. What is the test suite? What is the runner? So at before annotation is nothing but it is a method containing Java code run before each test case. So if you want to test something that happens before your function is implemented, you go for at before. If you want to know what happens after that function, you go for at after class. If you want to run a bundle of test cases together, you go for a test suite. Group of classes you can work together. JUnit also provides a tool for execution of your test cases. So here the JUnit test runner is nothing but the JUnit core class is used to execute this test. Any method called run class provided by the JUnit core is used to run one level or several test classes. So these are the various core objects. So this is a small calculator example. So here we have given if it is equal, it will return true. So as I said, it is an open source unit testing for Java framework, unit testing framework for Java. So it is useful for Java developers to write and run repeatable tests. And it is useful for developers who work in a test-driven environment. In the case of web applications, JUnit is used to test the application without server. So what are the limitations of Selenium? So these are the various references that was done. And one more thing before this, I like to tell about for JUnit, version 5 is the latest version of JUnit. And it includes focusing on Java 8 actually. And above with the facility, it allows various types of testing for developers on Java virtual machine. So JUnit 5 is the latest version, and Selenium latest version is version 4.0, where you use the Selenium server in a grid configuration to see the documentation. So if you take a JUnit, it was released in Feb 2021, the latest version. Before going to the questions phase, since all are computer science students, I like to tell something based on your career preparation guidelines. So students, you have to be strong in your fundamentals in core subjects. You have to know at least 2 object-oriented programming languages, that is either Java or C++ or Python. Among this, you must be sure of any 2. Whatever you are given, you must write. You must be thorough in any of the 2 OOPS languages. You have to be thorough into modern web framework in case of web developing. If you choose that, if you want to be a web developer, you have to you must know two modern frameworks, and be strong on data structures and algorithms, basics of operating system and networking. And like you select your area of specialization. It can be a software engineer, or it can be a developer, or it can be a network specialist, or anything. Be strong in aptitude. You have to participate in competitive, like Lead Code, Hacker Earth. Why you participate is like it will boost up the confidence level. As a software developer, it will boost up your confidence level. See, even if you fail or if you get low marks, it is not a problem. Everyone are not born intelligent, but you must not survive without intelligence. Even you have to be smart and do hard working. So try to participate in Lead Codes, Hacker Earth, etc. Be strong in CS fundamentals. Then get up to like at least intermediate level in DSA, then OOPS concepts, OS understanding, then learn system design. That is in low level, high level system designs, you be thorough in that. Learn to document the work, like either wiki, UML diagrams, architecture designs. Learn to document your work. Whatever you do, try to give a pakka documentation. Learn frameworks like C#, JVM, and its any associations also. Then learn API, microservices, design patterns, solid principles and all. So basically what I would say is, if you do something weekly once, half an hour, try to spend on Lead Code or Hacker Earth. 1 hour you can very well spend. Saturday and Sunday, you can very well spend, and you can very well discuss among your classmates to know where you are. So with this, I end up my session. Hope I didn't make you all sleep. Thank you. Any questions, you may please ask me.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The session was truly informative and quite interesting for us. And of course, you did not bore us. It was really interactive. And thank you for giving us some extra tips too. And now, students, please, if you have any queries or doubts, go ahead and ask to ma'am.
I think I covered only the basics of all the SDLC or whatever software testing or development operations or agile or the JUnit or Selenium, whatever it is. I just said what is what. So what you people do is, at least I feel some 85, so around 80 students, leave the faculty members, I think around 80 students or 75 students will be attending now. At least 1 or 2, if you go and look back at whatever I said, this particular 1 hour, it is a successful one for both the organizing committee as well as myself. That's what I will say. So this is me.
Yes, Uma, happy to see you.
Hi,
It was really an informative session, and we were actually expecting more from you in future at least. We feel like you are filled with knowledge and information, and so we'll be inviting you and we'll be disturbing you again and again if you don't mind.
Sure. I can also give a, if you need any practical session, I can give. It might be more informative to the students instead of telling it.
Probably like a hands-on or a workshop. We can arrange.
Hands-on workshop also I can do, because we can take one particular tool. If you take a Selenium or what they are not learning in the lab session, what we can do is we can take one particular tool and we can give a hands-on session. That is maybe for the final year students and all.
Yes.
Or like if you take a first year, we can give some other sessions.
Of course.
I think
probably in future we'll plan for that.
Yeah. Sure.
It was very nice meeting you again
after
a long time.
Can I see you, Sridevi?
My webcam is actually a problem. Wait, let me try to join from my mobile.
Okay, fine. Okay, then what else? That's it?
Just a minute. Let them
Yeah.
complete it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Dhanush, you can.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. I'm
Hi.
having a group now. So, what do you think is the future of software testing, ma'am?
See, software testing, if you want to go as a tester, Dhanush, you please be thorough with Selenium and JUnit, because here if you take in our college, I'm telling CIT, because when they go to during their fourth year, that is seventh semester, once they complete their sixth semester, seventh sem, people will be going for their interns, right? So when they go, most of the testing is done in Selenium and JUnit. So as
Okay,
a
ma'am.
software tester, you have a very great warm welcoming in IT industry. You will be warm welcomed. You will be given a very good welcome. Okay, like, because they need very good software testers. So what I will suggest is, please be thorough in any two tools, whatever you take. As I said, if it is like you be thorough in data structures, you be thorough in C, C++, or Python or Java, or if you take a testing tool, you please be thorough with Selenium and JUnit. These two are very important, because
Okay, ma'am.
wherever
Thank
you
you.
go, either you will be using a Selenium or JUnit.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, we have reached the end of the session. So, now I call upon Fahima from the Department of Computer Science and Data Analytics to give away the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to the respected and most distinguished lecturer of the day, Dr. M. Umarani ma'am, respected principal, head of the department, honorable professors, and my dear friends. It seems to be a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this webinar a very resounding success. First of all, I would like to give my hearty thanks to our guest lecturer, Dr. M. Umarani ma'am, for gracing today's webinar. Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am, for your very thought-provoking and interesting session on software testing today, and for making an excellent presentation and making this webinar a very meaningful and an interesting one. I would like to express our deep gratitude to the principal for giving us the opportunity and platform to learn new things every day. I would also thank our beloved head of the department, Dr. R. Sridevi ma'am, for her guidance and moral support. I am very happy to express a vote of thanks to all our staffs who have made this webinar a grand success through their motivation and dedication. I also thank all those who have participated overwhelmingly and made the event successful. Finally, I thank all the wonderful students who have turned up in such great numbers. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Once again, I thank everyone for their cordial cooperation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank you so much, Uma.
Fahima. Thank you all the students. Hope all of you come out very well. Do what you like and like what you do. So you will definitely attain success. So wishing you all the very best for your future. Okay, thanks a lot. So even if you learn a little, please be apt and try to concentrate more on that. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
Uma.
much, ma'am.
Thank you so
everyone
much,
for
ma'am.
making this
Yeah,
event
thank
a
you,
great
everyone.
success. Once again, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Sridevi, can I leave the
Yes,
meet?
yes, you
Sridevi?
can leave, Uma. Thank you so much. I'll
Yeah,
keep in
thank
touch
you,
with you.
Sridevi. Yeah, thank you.